For a long time, I believed the fix was just finding better people. If something wasn't working, wrong person in the seat, right? Just hire better, train harder, raise the bar, get the right team in place, and everything runs the way it's supposed to. That's a story a lot of owners carry. I had the same belief, but something was not adding up. I kept talking to owners who had done everything right on the people side. They've let go of underperformers, they brought in the experienced hires, they built out the right leadership team. But the problem didn't go away. The problems would just keep resurfacing in different ways. And quite often the decisions just came back to them, back to the owners. Standards slipped the moment the owner looked away. Things that had been handled before just came back, had to be dealt with again. And there's one specific owner that I've worked with. He was running a large real estate portfolio, had a management company, many properties, and so on. And he had replaced his property managers 3 or 4 times over the last 4 or 5 years. Multiple different people, and all of them came with strong track records, but they all underperformed within a short period of time. And by the third one, he was convinced that the role was just hard to fill. Maybe the market, maybe the properties, maybe he needed to pay more. So I asked him one question. How often do you get involved in properties that your managers is supposed to be handling on a day-to-day? After a pause, he said, well, quite often, but only when something is at risk. And that's when it clicked. The property managers weren't failing. They were operating in a system that wasn't set up for success. The owner was the real decision maker, and the employees did not have the authority to make decisions. Every time something got difficult, the hard questions had to be answered or dealt with, the team would go back to the owner and ask specific questions, right? So they hadn't been taught to be leaders. They hadn't been taught to step up and deal with things. Everything fell back on the owner, and that was really creating a lot of stress on the employees and the owner itself. The team was performing as designed. Unfortunately, the design wasn't what the owner thought it was. The design was one of top-down decision-making. It was on, hey, we don't really trust you, so therefore you need to come to the owner and run everything through him or her, right? And that's not only in real estate this happened. I see this everywhere, right? Managers who check in before every decision, a team that can't move very quickly because they are waiting on the owner to step in and answer a question. It's the capable person who never really steps up, no matter how many chances you're giving them. And it's not because these people are not skilled enough or intelligent or smart enough. It's because they don't have the right organization in place to step up, right? It's easy to think that all of these are just people problem, but usually it isn't. It is not about more training. It's not about a better hire. It's not about, the right people. No, the challenge is that they're really waiting for ownership. The kind of ownership where the employees can make the call, make the decision, with an outcome, and also take accountability for the outcomes if they are wrong, and not depending on the owner to catch them if something fails. Many owners have never fully set that up. It's not that they don't want to, it's just because they are afraid of letting go. They feel like letting go creates too much risk. And that's something worth sitting with. Is risk really because you give too much responsibility or too little responsibility? If this feels like something that you are experiencing, and your team keeps performing below of what they're capable of, it may be worth looking at the system that's actually being created for them. I've had a few conversations in the last few weeks. We mapped this out. just 30 minutes, and we'll figure out what the constraint is. We'll, you'll leave with a clear picture of what is in the way and what needs to change. If that feels like it's valuable to you, look in the notes below and schedule a call with me. All right, talk to you soon.